What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Patriot Specialized. Today's episode, we got a lot to talk about, boy. This one's going to start off with not one, not two, but three different types of inspections on the same load. So that and a whole bunch more coming up here in 1 second. Stick around.
Right across these plains and prairies, Rocky Mountain highs, fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky. Black smoke and white line, steel horses side by side. It's more than just a living, y'all. Hell, it's our way of life. We're the last of the cowboys. Giddy up, gun.
Start this off. We know that on the last episode, you saw me. I was headed down to grab that 745 articulated dump truck out of the port in Baltimore. That was last Friday. I snatched that thing up, made my way out of the port, and immediately, right off the bat, as soon as I got to Dundalk Avenue, anybody that's been to the port of Baltimore knows on a permit route, you come out Dunhill, you turn left on Dundalk, it's only about a quarter of a mile. Or as soon as I turned on Dundalk Avenue, I got pulled over by Maryland State Trooper and got a DOT inspection with that truck. That was only the beginning. I thought that one was odd. I never got pulled over by State Trooper there before, but I thought that one was odd. But that was the beginning of what turned out to be, man, I don't know what it is about them 745s, but people, the DOT really likes them. So that happened. I still managed to get it home. The interesting thing about getting home that time was, normally when I'm going home for the weekend, I permit a route right through my house, and they wouldn't give it to me on that one. So I ended up having to drop that at a truck stop, bobtail up to the house, and a bobtail back down on Monday morning. Met up with another driver, gave him some paperwork, take the office for me that I had. He had his dog out. One of his two dogs, he had her out, and she was climbing around, and we were joking that she was doing a level 1 inspection, and I had no idea how true that was. That was actually, we're going to call that number 2 inspection of my trailer, done by Miss Mary. Mr. Skippy's one of his dogs that he runs around every day with. So we got that. Spent a little bit of time with him, just hanging out there at the truck stop, gave him what we needed, talked for a few minutes, let the dogs run around, and then I rolled out. And immediately, as soon as you pull out of the truck stop and get back on the highway, 2 miles later, there is a scale. I was kind of surprised that it was open that early in the morning, but it turns out that's a trend. So I got pulled in there and got looked at there. It wasn't really an inspection. It was a weight check, I think is what he called it, weight and permit check. But he measured my axle spacing, checked my weights, everything was good. He gave me a paper on it that it was good, and that's going to come into play here in a minute. So that was that. That was another hour of my life Monday morning, and I get out rolling, and the permit route that I had routed me right past what we call the Lodi scale, which is over on 76 in Ohio. It's one of the other scales. It routed me right past that scale. That scale did the same exact thing. They weighed me, pulled me into the back, asked to see my permit, and thankfully I had that paper from Hubbard, and I presented it to him, and I said, listen, I just got looked at an hour and 15 minutes ago, and they were like, oh, well, we were going to do this same exact thing, but since you already got this paper, go ahead and have a nice day. So thankfully, that only wasted about a half hour of my time that day. We got rolling, headed up to Michigan to get that thing delivered. Now, the interesting thing about that is the Maryland requires you to have an escort for anything over 120,000 pounds coming out. Those of you that come out of the port, pay attention to this part. Any load, gross weight that exceeds 120,000 pounds in Maryland requires an escort. I did not know that. That was something that came as a surprise on my permit that I got that Friday. Interesting to know also. Through that whole thing, finding that information out, I did end up with a good contact out there for escorts to get me out of Baltimore. So that was a positive thing to happen there. But the bottom line is, you guys need to know, 120 grand, they're looking. They're really paying attention. That's exactly why he pulled me over to inspect me. He wanted to see if my permit had that on it. So that was that inspection. Then got inspected by Hubbard, got inspected by got looked at by Lodi. And I got on my way. Now, Michigan also required, for the width, because that thing was 12.6 wide, Michigan also required an escort for the width, not for the height or length or weight. They required it because it's over 12 foot. I think it's 12.2 in Michigan. it requires an escort for the width. So where we're going to pick up this video right now is where my escort met up with me on Route 23 headed into Michigan for delivery. What's going on, guys? Made it to our delivery with this thing. This is our baby right here. Pretty good looking unit. This is a brand new Cat 745 articulating dump truck. Couple tricky things about this thing. Man, loading one of these things by yourself is a pain in the butt. You can't see, once you get on the trailer, you can't see the trailer anymore. So it's a guessing game. It's a feel thing, and it was fun, let me tell you. So anyways, we got this thing. There's a lot to talk about on this one, which I'm gonna do, but right now I just want to cover the load with you, what I did for Securement, how I loaded it, all that gibberish, and then we're gonna get this thing out of here, get this thing taken off the trailer so we can get out of here and get on the next one. But this is what we got. This thing weighs in at just under 80,000 pounds. Obviously got our flags marking widest portion of load. Did Securement a little bit different because it's so big. It's because it's a little bit longer. I didn't place it exactly where I normally place them. I kept it back this way a little bit, trying to get my axles a little bit different. But we got one chain on each side coming down. This is actually one chain, two binders. Nope, no it's not. I used two chains, two binders there. They wouldn't reach. Then in the middle, I wrapped around the post there. Came one chain this way, one chain that way, keep it from articulating, because these are our articulating braces. They go on that hydraulic cylinder right there, and they're a little bit of a pain in the butt to use because you got to unbolt them and then bolt them onto there. So I didn't bother, I just went ahead and chained it, which we kind of needed for Securement anyways. So, and then on the back here, obviously we got our flag. This one we used a bungee flag, hooked right from the counterweight, came over here. On the back, I did one chain, two binders, connected right there at the tie-down point and right to the trailer. Same thing on that side. And then this one here, I ran all the way across to get full credit for that one. This one meets that Ohio. Remember a couple episodes ago, Ohio DOT got me for, they didn't really get me for it. They didn't write me up for it, but they had mentioned that they wanted to see the four corners tied down. So we made sure we accomplished that this time and made sure we stayed compliant with what the Ohio DOT, which is a darn good thing, because that's part of what we're going to talk about. We definitely got looked at in Ohio everywhere I went. I got the scale in Hubbard got me, the scale in Novi got me. Everywhere I went, they were looking. So it was a good thing we did it the way they like to see it. So got that done. That's really it, guys. Nice basic load. She big, but that's it. Pretty good looking load. And now we're gonna get this thing untied so they can take it off the trailer and we can get out of here. Be right back. I always forget to drop my air. all yours, bro.
Good?
Yeah. There you go. We got that thing delivered. Now, here's the thing. I knew for a fact that I had, you saw in the last episode, I ran out from York to Doylestown back to York. I had another round of that I was booked on for Wednesday. So I was looking for a load Monday afternoon to get me out to York, Pennsylvania, so I could be there for that on Wednesday morning. And I was waiting on, I talked to one of my agents. There was supposed to be a load going out to Coatesville, but it was a truck chassis and it was coming down the line. It wasn't, it wasn't ready to ship yet. It was coming down the line and they had to do the final inspection on it. So I decided to run down to Perrysburg, Ohio, right by Toledo, and just park there for the night and wait to hear if that thing was past inspection and was going to go ready to ship. Now, glad I did that, glad I waited, because it ended up not being, they found something wrong with it and ended up not clearing the final inspection. So I had to find a load, and the load I found was out of Warren, Michigan, going to Aberdeen, Maryland, which is close enough for what I needed, put me a little bit behind on Wednesday morning when I was supposed to go load the Yorks. This kind of threw me off a little bit, but nothing that turned out too catastrophic. But I didn't get any filming on that load at all because Detroit Arsenal, where I picked it up from, allows no filming at all inside, and the Aberdeen Proving Grounds also doesn't allow any filming. And I was just going to stop somewhere along the way and throw a real quick video together, show you guys the load and the content and all that stuff, what I did for securement, what I did for placement. This was a legal load, and I had to play a little bit of games with my ride height to get the height down because it was over height when I first put it on. But I played with my ride height, I got it down 13.6. That would have been good content. However, it was raining all day. It was raining cats and dogs all day, and there just wasn't a good opportunity for me to jump out and show you and talk about the load without getting soaked. The camera's getting wet and everything else. So didn't get any film on that one, but got that thing delivered. I made it down to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania on Tuesday, ran from Harrisburg down to Aberdeen to get that thing delivered. 695 in Baltimore got me for a little bit there due to my hours. I couldn't leave the truck stop until my 10-hour break was up, which put me kind of right in the heart of 695 traffic, and it got me. There was 5 accidents on 695 in an 8-mile stretch that, of course, that was the 8 miles I needed to get to 95. And we got stuck in all of that, and that cost me about an hour, and I got up to deliver that with super fast, super nice people there in Aberdeen. It was a real joy unloading there. The guy was really nice, and that makes, you know, sometimes when you get frustrated from traffic and whatnot, you run into somebody that's just a good person and the delivery goes real well, it kind of changes your opinion for the day, and that's what happened there. Got out of there, went right back down to 695, got back into traffic again, which wasn't as bad coming back through, but I did get back in traffic again, ran my butt up to York. As soon as I get to York, now I know they want to make this turn. They want me to load, unload, reload, unload back there in one day, and that is of course my goal because that's the best way to do it. However, I got there to York a little bit later than I wanted to, a little bit later than I was thinking, a little bit later than I probably could have made it by the time those guys went home. And as soon as I got there, I found out that all the forklift operators for that plant were in a meeting. So I ended up sitting there for about an hour, got me loaded super fast. Brian's a great guy. He got me loaded super fast when he got out of his meeting, and I got out of there about 12 o'clock. And that's, I got out of there about 12 o'clock, ran my happy butt over to Doylestown as quick as possible. I got great routing. I asked for specific routing from my permit department, and they managed to get it for me, and it was perfect route. It was the best routing you could get to get over there. Unfortunately, there's still, even though it's the best routing possible, there was still a ton of traffic lights in there, and that posed a little bit of problem, slowed me down a little bit, and of course led to me not being able to make it back to York to be unloaded yesterday evening while they were there at work. So that's where we're picking up the video now, guys. We ran our butt out of the Doylestown. We're getting that thing delivered to Doylestown and getting unloaded and reloaded, and then we're headed back to York. the sake of saying it, I think it's worth saying that from the time I pulled in, my logbook timing on that load, from the time I pulled in, got stopped, and it went on duty, to the time I pulled out of there and it triggered back to drive time, was 14 minutes and 32 seconds. That is ridiculously fast for unchain, unload, reload, rechain, get the bill signed, and get out of there. That is stupid fast to do that in 14 and a half minutes. Like, unbelievable how fast that is. And I'm so grateful for those guys out there that did everything they could to get me in and out of there as fast as possible to get me back to York. And unfortunately, getting on Route 30 by York, I was almost going to make it by the time before those guys would go home. And I was almost back to York, and traffic. What should have taken me about 30 minutes took me about an hour and 15 minutes, solely because of traffic lights, the amount of people trying to get through those traffic lights. I kind of had a very Christmas-like feel, like everybody was out shopping for Christmas. It was very strange and very time-consuming, and unfortunately it didn't happen, but I called the customer and I said, listen, I'm not going to make it. Like, it's not you. I know you got something to do tonight. Why don't you just go on home? I will come in there. I'll drop my trailer. What time do you guys come in the morning? And he said he comes in at 6. I said, you know what? I'll drop my trailer there. I'll strip the load. When you get there at 6, take that thing off. I'll be in there about 6:30 or so probably, and I'll be able to hook back to my trailer and get out of there. I'll still be able to make my pickup before, should still be able to get to my pickup before they even open on Thursday morning. So that's what we did. They ended up, I guess somebody on second shift ended up unloading my trailer for me sometime in the evening. I didn't know anything about it, and the guy that I was talking to, my customer, he didn't unload it in the morning. So somebody at some point unloaded it and put it back in the corner. He came out in the morning, met me down there where my trailer was, signed my bill so I could get out of there, and I ran my butt down to the Port of Baltimore so I could pick up this 325 excavator that we got on right now. And that's where we're gonna shoot to this part of the video, is us getting that 325 loaded. And then we got some interesting stuff about the 325 that we'll talk about right after this. Well, had a heck of a time finding it out here, but we found it. This is our baby right here. Cat excavator, just a little one. We're gonna put it on right now. We are currently sitting at the rest area / welcome center right inside the Pennsylvania line because they had to do a little swippy swap here, had to do a little interesting stuff in order to be compliant in both states, in Maryland and Pennsylvania. So what we had to do here is, if you guys noticed in the video when I was loading, I left my flip axle up. There's a reason for that. Now, I can do this load on, because of the weight on this load, I can do it on 6 axles, so it doesn't require the flip to be down unless you're in a state like we've talked about before, where if you're on an overweight permit at all, you have to have the flip down. Maryland does not require the flip to be down. However, the important part about that is what I did in Maryland there was I just put my third axle down and ran on 6 in order to get out of Maryland. Completely legal, no problem with that. However, when I get to Pennsylvania, because I'm on an overweight permit, they want to see that flip axle down. And I only need 6 axles to do this. So what I did there, I left the flip up in Maryland. Why did I leave the flip? Why didn't I just go ahead and put that thing down while I was loading? Great question. Glad you asked. The reason why is because Maryland's overall length law before you need an escort is 85 feet. Pennsylvania is much more than that. So, and the rest of the states I'm going to be in are much more than that. But Maryland is 85 feet, and with my flip down, I'm just a little bit over 86 foot. So, if I'd have put the flip down in Maryland, it would have required me to get an escort to get me out of Maryland. But I don't require the flip to be down, so I just left the flip up. Didn't require an escort in Maryland. But now that I'm in Pennsylvania, I'm going to have to put that flip down because Pennsylvania is one of the states that requires the flip to be down if you're on an overweight permit. So, pulled in a rest area. We're going to go do this real quick, and then we're going to get our butt out of here. So let's go do it. This is a little bit tricky when you're loaded. When you're loaded, to get this thing to flip the right way, it's a little bit tricky because the weight, you gotta lift the airbags way up so you can get the pins to go into the ears to line up with the pins. So let me go start PTO and we'll. First off, we're gonna have to move our signs and flags because they're on the back of the trailer right now. This is what we look like right now. We're gonna have to take the signs and flags off the back in order to flip the axle, so then we can put the sign and flag back on the rear axle. So let's do it. Got our air hooked up. Both pins are now released. Now I'm dropping it back down to ride height. And then we're gonna put our signs and flags on, and then we can get out of here. there we have it. She's still settling down a little bit, but now we have 2 axles down, 3rd axle lifted, 4th axle down. We are now compliant in Pennsylvania, and we made it through Maryland and we were compliant there too. So these are just a little trick that you can do. You really need to look at your permits and see what you require and what you have to have, what you don't have to have, in order to make sure you stay compliant. And this is a simple way to do this that allowed us to not have to get an escort in either one of the states, but to stay in compliant and be able to roll. So right now, I need to get back on the road because I want to go get a scale ticket on this thing and make sure our axles are exactly where I think they are, and then trying to make it home before dark tonight. There is also some winter weather coming that I got a feeling if we're not off the road tonight, we're going to be in trouble, because Pennsylvania is real fast to shut their roads down. So let's do it. All right, guys, so there you have it. There's the interesting stuff and how to get, you know, the games that we got to play in order to stay compliant with each state. It's very interesting, and thankfully for me on this case, there was a workaround for not requiring an escort, and it worked out pretty good, and we got that done. And I'm currently up on 80 in Pennsylvania, and I'm headed right to the house now. I'm going to be off tomorrow. My physical card, as most of you probably know, when you have a CDL and you work for a company, you're required to maintain a physical card, and my physical card expires December 9th. So I needed to go get my physical renewed. So I've made that appointment for tomorrow at about 10 o'clock. I'm going to get that physical taken care of, get it run down to the DMV and drop it off so that they can attach it to my license, so that when I get pulled over and looked at, it'll just be automatically attached. When the officer pulls up my information, he'll see that my medical card is current as well. And then Monday, we're going to be heading to, we got this 325 excavator on. You just saw me load. We're going to run this thing up to Weston, Wisconsin. Looks like Monday we'll probably be all driving. I don't think I'm going to make delivery on Monday. We're going to try to get this thing delivered on Tuesday morning, get something to load. As you know, next week is Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving week is a little bit tricky. You know, you've heard me talk about this before. It's just sort of an event for us in the overdimensional world when you have holidays, watching the curfews and everything else. But I'd imagine we're going to end up with curfews Wednesday at about noon. So hopefully Tuesday morning I'll get empty. I'll find something to bring me right back to Ohio, possibly drop something off in Ohio on Wednesday, and then with any luck, maybe that truck chassis that I wasn't able to pick up earlier this week going out to York might become available, because I got a pretty good feeling that another round out there for Doylestown is going to be available the beginning of the following week after Thanksgiving. So that's it for this week, guys. A pretty good week, pretty easy going, nice, and I mean, there was a lot going on. It was kind of busy. Got inspected a lot of times with that one load. I think maybe I'm gonna tone it down and maybe not run so many articulating dump trucks for a little bit while, because man, it seems like they attract attention. But if this is your first episode, I appreciate you watching. Thanks for tuning in today. If you like what you see, hit that like button. If you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. If you're a veteran, come to the back channel. You guys, I say it all the time. You guys, I love you guys. You are the reason these videos keep coming. And I appreciate all the likes, the shares, the comments. That's what drives me to do the next video. So I will see you guys on the next one. Everybody stay safe out there.